Going to be doing some landscape painting today. Well, just like a little small thing. This is of an image I took in Glendalough. A wonderful place to go if you're ever in Ireland. It's one of my favourite spots. Very pretty, and it's one of those places that look even nicer when when it's raining. I've already blocked this into just kind of value shapes that I want, so I'm going to go very dark here, lighter in the middle, a little darker than the light around here, and then quite low contrast light over here, and then with just that tree in the middle. That's all I want to represent here. I'm finally not sick, so that feels fantastic. Let me just mix very simple green. On my palette today I have titanium white, lemon yellow, scarlet red, ultramarine blue, sap green, and burnt umber. That's all I really need for today. The screen is a bit red, so let's throw in some blue. I want it fairly dark. How does that look? That looks okay to me. There's a bit of a glare off the window there, so let us see if I can... How does that look on the screen? That should look okay for you guys. It's just gonna be rough for me. Ain't nothing I can't deal with though. Actually, sometimes if you find there's a lot of glare, just do your brush strokes, different areas, and see which bit has the least glare. Or you can also just move your head around. I'm using just a little bit of medium here to just get the initial blocking down. Again, this blocking, all I'm thinking about really is value. Do not care for colour too much. A general colour is fine. Like, I know this is kind of quite brown, but still just a greenish brown. It's good enough for me. And it will look quite dark because it's against a white background at the moment, but it should look a little bit lighter once I get everything else in. Now really, I should have actually went background to foreground when I was putting these in, but sure, we're here now, aren't we? I'm gonna get a little bit of paint on my desk, but it's not anything I can't clean up. Probably should have thought beforehand to throw something down. But that's it. From that mistake I will learn. Okay, we've got that down. Now we need just... Again, I'll start doing it now. I'll go from back to forward in my image. Now the top of this skyline is going to be a little darker because it's a bit closer to me, while considering the further away it goes, it'll get a little bit lighter and kind of less contrasty altogether. Let me just get a bit of paper towel. I've thrown that somewhere, so I'll just do... Grand. I got a little bit of paper towel there, that's no problem to work with. And I want this fairly dull grey, maybe slightly more on the blue side, I suppose, than the brown side of things. I might not make it super light now. I'll just have to see what it looks like when it gets thrown down. Maybe a little lighter than that. Again, it's kind of always hard to tell these things until you have everything down. This is usually actually why I work on a toned background. It's just easier to tell what your colours are actually going to look like. Working on this white ground is just it's quite harsh every time you throw something down. Now you can see I'm literally just kind of scrubbing in the paint here. I don't care for brush marks at the moment. Just filling in. It's like you got a little colouring book. I definitely should have mixed more paint. Let's do that now. Bit more of that white, brown, and ultramarine. Maybe a little bit more brown. Get my medium going. Mix that in and make it a bit thinner. And yeah, that's fine for me. Now, I know I'm painting over that background mountain, but that's very okay. We can bring that later. And it's going to be quite low contrast compared to this sky anyway, so I'm not going to see it too much, and I could even decide just to leave it out later anyway, if it's not suiting in my composition. I actually don't do a lot of landscape painting, maybe because once I'm doing landscape painting, I'd rather do it outside than from a photograph. I mean, I like doing painting from life in general a lot more, but there's something I think that in landscape painting you need the perspective a lot more, I think. And you're allowed to play with your design a lot more when you're outside. Where are we going next? So I'll go with these mountains, which I want darker than this. No, it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be darker than this and darker than whatever I put here. That's what I want in my composition. So I'll start with a brown, maybe bluish. Start with kind of a bluish brown. Again, I don't have to worry about colour too much. So that means I can actually play with the colour a little bit. What does that look like next to this colour? Is that too dark? What does it look like next to this one? Yeah, it could go a little lighter. Just a hint lighter, just the hintiest hint. Oh, maybe not the yellow. Bad choice with the yellow. Okay, that'll work for me. I'll work with that. Yeah, that's fine. Is that fine? No, a little lighter. That's better. Okay, yeah, we're happy. We're happy. Get a bit more medium and just flow it all through. Fill in those white bits that I don't want to see in my painting. This is just an old brush, so I don't really care about it getting destroyed by me scrubbing around. And I feel like actually old brushes, once they get a bit of flay to them, they get a little bit destroyed technically. They can make nice marks. So just putting a little bit of shape in here. I don't want it, just too rigid, I suppose. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Ooh, I'm getting paint on my fingers. Right, now I will do this whole area here, I think. I also want this, there's a nice line across of bushes on this landscape, and I want to get that in, so I don't want to make it darker than this and darker than this. Somewhere in between might make a nice composition. Yeah, right, let's get in my brown, a little bit of green. Actually, I might need to use a different brush here. So I have a bit too much white on that, and I'll need to wipe that off if I want to use it. That might be too dark. Actually, I don't know if it's going to matter too much if it's as dark as what I have here. I think it will look alright. Let's give it a go. I think I want to leave those ones out. I'll leave it here though. Yeah, okay. Now let's get this colour in. It's quite this colour, this block in of the field. It's quite warm. So I'm just going to start with kind of like the red and yellows. I mean, it's warmer compared to everything else. But actually, the greens are quite warm. So this could still be quite cold. It's warmer compared to the background, cold compared to the foreground. I'll add a bit of white and just a tiniest bit of blue to cool it down. Maybe a little bit more yellow, a bit more white. Still needs, it's a bit too much on the yellow side. Let's add a bit of red. Just the tiniest bit of red. You need to know when you're mixing, different pigments have different tinting power, and that means when you mix, you could add a little, if it has a high tinting power, you add a little bit to your mixture and suddenly, whoa, that's very much that colour that I put down. I put into it, isn't it? Same like this yellow doesn't have a very high tinting power. I find myself needing to add a lot. Oh, that needs to be a lot lighter. Yeah, I find myself needing to add a lot to make it mix in, So like really in my head I should be thinking I need to start with that yellow if I want to use it. and then add the rest of my colours. I feel like that's still maybe too light. Maybe I could do a gradation, like it's okay. Maybe it could be dark, like I might use this one closer to me, and as it gets further away, I might get a little lighter, so I'll use it for now. This is also why I'd rather have actually done this very dark bit later, because now I could have pushed that and make some shapes with it. Because right now it's just a big blob, isn't it? Just throw it in, because I'm not sure where I wanted to get lighter yet. Let's add that. Maybe add a little bit more green to it. Make it lighter, make it greener. Let's see what happens. Is that light enough yet? No, it needs to be much more lighter. A bit more power into that. Maybe I could use that for the middle of that gradation that I want. It's definitely lighter than what I put down, but we need to go further. Yeah, that might be okay. I think that's fine. I could use some thicker paint layer to get a bit more texture onto it. Okay, where are we now? So far I like this nice composition we have. We need to maybe make some shapes into it and get it a bit stronger. We got this. What are we thinking all together? Let me see. So there's a nice jump from here to here. That's fine. There's a jump from here to here, which is grand. Maybe this is a little bit too similar. So I can make these a bit darker, I think. I can either make these darker or this lighter. I think I want to make... Actually, let me just check something. Because I want this to be lighter than my middle bit. Pretty sure. Let me just see how light it looks next to this, if I put that down. Okay. Let us make the sky lighter, I think. Or is it okay? I'm gonna step back a little bit just to check. Hard to choose. Maybe I'll make it a little lighter. When I step back, these look a bit more contrasty, and it does in the video as well, actually. Maybe it's just the glare I'm getting off the window, and it makes it look a bit too similar. Yeah, okay, it's just the glare, I think. But I could make maybe this darker to show that this mountain's a bit closer to me. Do I want to do that? No, okay. But I will make the inside of here a bit lighter, so that's what we'll do next. You know, these little thumbnail studies, you don't have to go into too great detail, which is nice as well. It's a good, because you're working quite small, you know, it's a good time just to experiment and see where you're going a bit. I need a lot more white, so I'm going to get out of this mixture here. I'm going to do it out of frame. Apologies about that. But I'm running out of space on my palette. So is that lighter than this? Yeah, that'll do. I think I am going to leave out that mountain in the background. And just play with clouds. And these paint strokes actually have a bit of texture to them. So that means I need to start adding some texture to the rest of the painting. Make it just a little different. Because the texture's going to take too much of that, you know, focal point. And I want the viewers to look at something else. Yeah, okay. What we'll do next, we will start... Actually, will I come back to the foreground, or shall I work back again? Come to the foreground later. What do I want to do here? Do I want to touch this anymore? It's also a good question. Maybe a little bit. And then wipe off the paint I have on this brush. I think I still have this mixture here to work with. I do. So I'm just gonna actually... This mixture has a bit too much medium in it, so let's just mix again. I want it a little bit darker, I think, than what I had. I'm still playing with that blue, which is nice. I think with landscape you can push colours a lot more. It's fun. Especially if you find yourself outside painting. It's really just colour design and shape design when it comes to landscape. And composition is very important, obviously. But composition, I think, is super playful. You know, when you're outside, you can just like look left, look right, looking right in front of you, and kind of mash that composition together to suit your needs. Okay, I like those mountains now, and I will now work. Think, will I do any of this here? I might add a little bit more texture and colour into the middle right here. Let's wipe off the brush again. And let's push that texture just a little bit. So I'm actually going to grab a good bit of paint. Do I have a palette knife to remove some of this? Do I need to remove some of this? Because that's the colour I was using. So yeah, let's just grab a whole lot of white there. The tiniest bit of red. I want to push that colour just the tiniest bit. I don't want to make it too strong because my overall composition is quite dull in colour. So if I put a too strong colour down, it's gonna look crazy. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. I could maybe have used slightly more paint. I think that you guys are getting a lot of glare off this window, so I'm gonna close that blind. Might be easier to see. Yeah, I think I could have used a little bit more paint here. So I'm going to get my white paint and squeeze it a little bit out. Oh, that's green. Oh. Alright, let's give this a go again. So I'm going to actually pick up a lot of paint here. I still want to also throw that tree down, so maybe not as much paint as I think. We'll see. And that is too orange. Let's dull it down a little bit with blue. Ooh, that is too much blue. That has some high tinting power. Okay, back to our reds. Now I like that colour, but now it's too dark. So let's add our white. And make it a little bit colder as well, so I'm going to add a little bit of red. And what does that look like? Yeah, I don't mind that. Maybe we can add a little bit more deeper colours into our mixture. Like, do I want the star of this to be that field? What kind of textures do I want to put down? Maybe this wavy texture is a bit nicer than that kind of splattering I was doing. Yeah. Can I push that colour a little bit more now? Where would it be? That if I was using a warmer colour, it should be closer to me than further away, I think. Yeah, that's nice. I think maybe I can go just slightly darker in the foreground as well with this colour. Maybe a bit warmer too. Yeah, I like the way that looks. Now we can go to this foreground colour and play around with the shape of that, maybe add some of that yellow in, and then at the end we'll just throw in a tree. Throw in a tree. That was more difficult than I thought it would be to say. I want a good bit of green, I think, in this. The green isn't that blue-green, it's kind of... Maybe if I had a little brown, it'll warm that green up. Too much red and too much brown. Add a little bit of blue, add a bit of yellow, add a little bit of blue, see if we can find it. Yeah, hopefully you guys can see that, but it's a bit greener for me. I'll just start throwing that over our landscape. That way we can add a bit of shape and texture. I need a little bit more than what I mixed. You can kind of just play with it. You don't have to be too accurate to the reference image, I don't think. It should come off well. Especially once we add those yellows to it. But before I do, actually, I don't want to forget about that tree I want to add. That tree I'm just going to try doing a single stroke here. And again, I'll maybe just use a bit of blue and brown. Let's see if we can do it, hopefully. I want it a little bit taller. Yeah, that looks fine to me. Maybe we should add some branches. I don't want them mixing into the underneath colour too much. So I'm trying to do this in as single stroke as I can, and also just pick up colours. Pick up my colour every time I want to throw down some more. Because every time I make a little stroke here, I'm going to pick up the colour underneath. And then I need to do something. I need to make this mix also into the foreground I have here. So I can go a bit darker again, I think, than what I put down. Let's go back to our nice colour we mixed over here. Again, we can push this colour down more than we thought. That's a good thing to think about. You know, if I know I'm going to put that tree in later, then I need to make it... And if I know how dark that tree is going to be later, I need to also think about what it's going to be sitting on. Like the value of what it's going to be sitting on, you know, so it blends in quite well. That doesn't look too bad. Okay, we'll go back to doing that green foreground. Go back to that texture we were looking for. I think I need a little bit more paint than that. Okay, and now we can get that yellow in. Actually, I also want this green maybe over here a bit more. Don't like that brown. Yeah, that's better. Let's get this yellow. Again, it's not a super duper strong yellow, it just looks strong compared to the green, so Actually, I'll get a smaller brush for this. Different textured brush anyway. It's quite a warm yellow as well. Let's think about that. Might need to mix more yellow. Let me see how it looks there. It's not too bad for a starting yellow, but I can also, I think, add on top of this if I want to. So let's use it for now. And then go a little bit brighter on top of it as well. See what we can do. So I want it a bit warmer actually than that, I think. Let me go grab more yellow. Yeah, if I use this as my underneath yellow, then I can go stronger on top. I think it should look okay. That's quite orange. It's not too bad. Again, I'm not trying to do every little circle of yellow I see. I'm just trying to get the feeling of that yellow going down. Now let's try be a bit more pure with that yellow, be a bit brighter. I think that's what I'm looking for. Let me see. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, we got enough texture in here. Before I finish up, maybe we should just try think about, say if I was to bring this to a bigger composition, what we'd change, what we'd try think about. I'm gonna take a step back or stand up above this, because right now I'm kind of looking front on, but I want to look down on it. I think maybe I could have pushed the dark areas here a little bit more, and I think if I was working a bit bigger, I could start to maybe put a little bit more variation in colour into the middle ground, considering I'm using quite a strong yellow in the foreground. Yeah, and I've also, if I went darker with here, with these bits, I could throw in like maybe some just splattering of ideas of trees growing out of some areas. I don't mind this colour here, maybe a little bit bluer I could have went. Or I know like it's quite overcast in my photo, but I could probably play around with shapes of clouds a little bit. Yeah. Anyway, I'm happy with this little thumbnail sketch. Thanks for joining me, everybody.